Welcome back to Just Saying, the podcast where we pull back the curtain on parenting, money, relationships, and everything in between. Today's episode is not your typical financial pep talk. My guest, Tommy Kilpatrick, took $85,000 in credit card debt and turned it into a courtroom battle against some of the biggest banks in the country. He calls himself the accountant who stumbled into uncovering a massive deception. The credit cards may not be what they seem at all. Now, whether you agree with him or not, you're about to hear a story that will make you laugh, shake your head, and maybe even rethink the way you look at your own wallet. So grab a cup of coffee, buckle up, and let's dive into this wild ride of debt, deception, and discovery. Hey friends, I'm joined here with Tommy Kilpatrick with an interesting story, how he battled the courts and overcame his debt. Welcome to Just Saying, Tommy.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, so can you walk us through how you ended up with $85,000 in credit card debt? Well, actually, I can relate. I have a lot of credit card debt. I like to shop. I'm a shopper. I can't go through a checkout aisle without going, yeah, I need that. And adding it to my list of stuff. I'm the worst, actually, the worst. But tell me let's walk through your journey, and I want to know what you bought for $85,000. I'm just teasing. I'm just saying.
Well, that's great. I love the introduction. I'm a retired teacher now, and I'm an author. So I had written a book on health and healing. And in 2004, I was given a infomercial contract. And so to test market, we had to be on the radio, and I'd be interviewed at all times of the day and night. So I lived on my 3 credit cards. That's where the credit card debt was life and living for about
it's work
6
related.
months. Sort of, yeah. I really didn't splurge or anything like that.
We'll run with that.
Yeah.
Related.
So 85,000 was not a big deal, and to you it is, but to me, I was promised about 100,000 a month. So this was my ticket to be in that millionaire status. And then about 6 months into it, one of the other talents, he got in trouble with the FTC. He lied in his book about weight loss. So the FTC came down hard on him and also the company, and they canceled my contract. And there I was.
That's terrible.
Talk about depression. Your expectations
your big break, and
that's right.
That's just nuts. So can I ask you a question? I know this is totally off topic, but I'm curious. So what were you doing actually? You were on the radio doing like interviewing?
Yes. They had found that I was so successful. When I was on the radio, I would teach people how to work out pain on the steering wheel. So people would call into the radio show, and this guy's right. My headache's gone. My back pain's gone. So then they would give out an 800 number, and then they would call this 800 number, and they would make the sales, and then all the salespeople had no idea what it was. So I flew to Portland, Maine, where the call center was, and I taught them about reflexology, about how to massage the hands and feet and relieve the pain of the body. And they all went, oh my God, it works. So when they went back to the phone, people are calling, does this thing really work? Absolutely. The author was
Well,
here.
You know what? The best way to teach, the best way to learn is to teach. So if they, you go teach them, then they can teach the other people, you know what I'm saying? So it kind of all works.
Right.
And if it works, they have to see it for themselves and they have to believe in it. Was so curious, and I know maybe somebody out there listening was like, what was he talking about? I don't know. I get curious about different type of things out there. I mean, just off topic, really. When I was a teenager, before cell phones became a thing, because that was like 1990 or maybe even earlier, they had all of our kids in our high school drive around town with a phone that they gave us, like this big phone or whatever. We had to, once we hit a certain place, we had to call it. And then we'd have to stay on the phone for a minute and then hang up and then do it again at a different point. So that's how cell phones were developed. It's like they taught us kids. They gave us all $100, and it was like my whole high school. You're talking, I don't know. There was like 50 of us driving around town with these big phones, testing like the ability to be received, probably is what it was, from the towers or whatever. Anyways, I'm a totally digressing, but you totally brought me to a point back in my life, so I had to share. Just saying.
Sure.
Okay, so let's go back. So now you had this big, you had this great job actually, and you were using the money to help you, like, during the during your time in this job, and then it didn't all work out. So now you're saddled with all this debt. Now what?
Yes. Well, put me in a depression, of course. How can I pay this back? And what the lawsuits are going to be coming. And also just the whole stigma of the thing of being a loser, maybe all that kind of stuff. So then one morning I woke up thinking about my dad. He's a certified public accountant, and I was studying to be a CPA in college, but I never got the credential. I could do the work, but so I realized
Right.
the bank does not
That's hard
have an
work, by the way. You've got
invoice.
to have a brain. You've got to have a good brain for being a CPA. Just saying. Just saying. You got to have a you. It's not an easy job. My mom's not a CPA, but she has the brain for it. But I'm just saying, it's not. You have to be smart,
Oh
and you
yeah.
got to. Yeah, you have to be smart to be able to. I'm sorry, I just had to interject.
No,
But keep going.
and I like that because also there's an ethical thing. You'll find CPAs extremely ethical. They follow the rules, 1, 2, 3, and they follow the law, 1, 2, 3.
I know
So
painfully, my accountant, Rich, yes, he follows the law painfully every time. I try to say, can't my dogs be counted as an alarm system? Can I not write that off? He's like, no, gosh, no. But so Rich, if you're out there listening, yes, painfully, ethically driven CPAs. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, that leads me right into what I was going to say too, is that don't believe anything I have to say. So I'm a doubting Thomas. So I'm inviting you and your audience to also be a
Okay.
doubting Thomas and
Well, when
question
you get to the
everything.
point where I don't believe you, I will tell you. So keep going. You're doing
Please,
good so far.
if it doesn't sound right, you speak up. Go, wait a second. Okay, so I encourage that too. So but there are links in the show notes, and I want you to go to those links, and you'll see what I'm talking about is absolutely 100% correct. And I want you to send this podcast to your CPA or to anyone who's had one class of accounting, and they'll tell you I'm 100% correct. Maybe they never thought of it this way, but what I am, I see myself as an accountant who's uncovered a worldwide bank fraud, and I'm your victim rights advocate. So that's where I kind of put myself in this whole situation. So I wake up, I realize the bank does not have an invoice. What's an invoice? It's the document of a debt. So if you don't have an invoice, you don't have a debt. So the bank does not have that. And then I have a memory. I have a memory of my accounting class, and we had a book that we had to read was called Modern Money Mechanics, and that's in your show notes, the second link. And it says right there, banks accept your promissory note. In exchange, they write numbers into your free checking account. So that's how a loan works. But I never
Okay.
signed a promissory note. So I don't have a promise to pay them back. But then using the card, you agree to the terms and conditions. My father-in-law was a attorney and a judge, and so we had long conversations about fraud undoes all contracts. So I do not have a contractual agreement with the bank. So I'm watching YouTube, and there's a guy talking about how easy it is to file a federal lawsuit. And the judges are so accommodating and so friendly because they know you're not an attorney. So what
Right.
I I filed 3 federal lawsuits in Los Angeles against the banks.
Against the banks for your debt.
Crazy.
Okay.
So we're going along. It's
Wait. Back
progressing.
up. Okay, because I'm blonde. Okay, so back up. So you, so you basically okay. So what was it? Okay, 3 lawsuits. Give me one of them. What was the So how did you frame that one in a nutshell? Kind of like.
Right. It's just fraud. I laid out the crime that the
Okay.
bank was doing, and if they did certain things, I would do that. So so it laid out exactly what they were doing. They're committing a crime, and I'm pointing it out to them. So things are going on pretty well with the lawsuit. We were up to our deposition, so the bank is going to have to
And you're
bring
doing this
someone
all by
from.
yourself, right? You don't have an
Oh yeah,
attorney.
no,
It's all you. You wrote the pleadings, you did the filing, you
yep,
paid for the fees, you did all the stuff, all the
yep,
things.
yep.
Okay.
And
And what
there's a
state
law
were you in?
library.
It didn't matter.
I
Didn't matter
felt
where. You're in California,
it's
but it
in
didn't matter where
California.
because
Yeah,
it's federal, right?
right.
Right. Okay. Okay. Sorry.
So, yeah,
Keep going.
so it didn't matter, and I went to the law library, so it's all right there, it's pretty simple, you just kinda look up things, but I had this unique idea of what the crime was, no one had ever thought of this before, and so we had a deposition date coming up, the bank was gonna have to send one of their employees to my office to be deposed under oath, under penalty of perjury, so now this person, if they lied, could go to jail or a fine, so and to bring the documents, they had to bring the evidence, and then all of a sudden I got called into court and without just me, not the defendants, the banks weren't there. And my father was going, that's not really weird. Normally, in this, the judge is only saying, how are you progressing along? Are we going to have a date for the trial? That's what they really are, a scheduler. And that's all they're really
Right.
doing at this point. And so I called me in and he said, Mr. Kilpatrick, do you have a credit card? Let me start at the beginning. Oh, we'll start at the beginning a little later. Do you have a credit card? And I went, well, it started off as a gift card. A gift card? Pull your card out. So I pulled my card out. He says, what's it say right there? Credit card. You're an idiot. Get out of here. So he dismissed all three cases.
So what happened then?
Depression again. Here I am going to have more lawsuits. I'm going to have
Because
to
you
be
thought you
sued
had
and all
one
that
on
kind of
him,
stuff.
right? You thought you had one on him. You thought,
See,
yeah.
again, like they build in a dash that you get the chair knocked out of you and you fall down on the ground. So I looked at my credit report a month later and all three of the banks were off my credit report. My credit score improved.
They came up. What they just decided that they didn't want to like mess with you, and just decided to like take it off your
They're not,
account.
s- they're not stupid. They have attorneys at $500 an hour. Okay.
Like
So
cost them more
what,
to fight you than it would be just.
well, you can look at it
Okay.
that way too. So that's part of my strategy too, is I like to kill a gnat with a cannon. So a huge amount of legal papers and stuff. So I would talk to the attorney for an hour or two on the phone and make sure I talked to him at least once a week. We talked about everything unrelated to the case. We're talking about fishing. We're talking about hunting. We're talking about law
And he
school.
allowed that. He allowed that conversation to continue on in a non-productive for his client. He didn't care. He's like,
That was my
oh,
purpose. That was my purpose. At
because
five hundred
they
dollars
want
an
they
hour.
want because they're logging the time. It's official logging time. When you're on the phone with them, it's official. Oh my Lord. Keep going.
Yeah. So I racked it right up.
Okay.
So then they also ran the risk of me asking a court to reconsider. So it could have been back on track. It could if I asked. And so they ran that risk of turning it back on right. And they don't have a defense, so they would lose, obviously, in a jury trial. And this being in the news, this being in the court paper, so anybody could have followed me and said, "This guy's right. Look at the court papers. I'll just do what he did," and then we'd have thousand millions of lawsuits, and this whole crime would be exposed. And so they took it off my credit report because how could I file a lawsuit? How could I say a claim that they're bothering me and when I have no evidence?
Okay.
So they removed the evidence of the crime by taking it off my credit report. I never got a 1099-C. Now, I got to explain a little bit to you. My dad being a CPA, being raised by a CPA, I have the IRS as part of my DNA. So I told them in the pleading that if they sent me a 1099-C, so let me just explain what that is. If you borrow, let's say $100,000 from the bank and you don't pay them back a penny, they notify the IRS and you pay about $30,000, $45,000 taxes on that money. But they also are able to take a tax deduction. That's the purpose of them filing a 1099-C so they can pay less taxes. And they're always about paying less taxes. I never
Right.
received a
You're a loss.
1099-C.
You're not paying. They're losing. They can take it as a loss, right?
Right. So they
Okay.
take that as a bad debt, and that's
Right.
evidence of the bad debt they have. And so they take that as a tax deduction. So I never got a 1099-C, which is
So they can't
crazy. They
claim
would
it
just,
as they can't claim it as a loss. So they just took it off. They didn't care about the loss. They just took it
well,
off.
because it never was a loss. This is my point. Once you'll understand this, it was never a loss. They never had any loss at all. So I never got a 1099-C because I said, if you do that, I'm going to file a 3949A.
Hey, what's the 3949A?
And I had one podcaster say, "Hold on a second," and he pulled it right up. He said, "It's a form you fill out to the IRS and notify of bank fraud, of basically tax fraud." So
Okay.
I told the bank that if you do this because you're claiming there was a loan, and because it was a bad loan, I got income, and I'd have to pay what about 30% of $27,000. I'd have to pay $27,000 to the IRS. You don't want to do that, That's how do you not going to pay? Where am I going to get 27,000? So that's what would affect me. But then the bank could take a deduction of 85,000. Well, that's great, taking that off your books. But that never happened because if they did that, that would be a crime. That would be tax fraud. And so the bank knew I knew they're a criminal and they weren't about to commit another crime. So they didn't send me a 1099-C. And it's off my
So
credit report and my credit score increased. Now you can say,
take
oh,
you
yeah,
take the
now
debt
you can be
off
black.
your right, so you take
Well,
the debt off your anytime you take debt out of your your bottom line, your scores will go up, right? Yeah.
oh, absolutely. The derogatory, the lates, and all that kind of stuff is
Right.
gone. So that jumped my score up right away. And your debt to income ratio improves dramatically when that stuff's gone. And so that's kind of like what happened to me. But then we try to think that was, I don't know, we'll talk about it too. But I basically was explaining that I was a crime victim. And law is language, and language is law. So if you say you have credit card debt, you got it. You can't get out of it. All right. This is not a get out of debt scheme that I'm proposing. Okay.
Okay.
So what this is all about is that there's certain language. So if you use the criminal language, you're never going to win the argument. So we have to start with the truth. And the truth is what you and I agree to, and it fits reality. So just because you and I say there's little green Martians, I mean, where's the reality of it? So we have to both agree, and there's a reality that we agree upon, and that's called the truth. And that's defined in the Black's Law Dictionary, fourth edition. So I use all the law dictionaries and definitions so we can move right along. So what we do is there are true credit cards. Let's just start with that. Okay. Let's say, Jessica, you need tires for your car and you don't have the money. You go in, you find out there's thousands. So what happened to tire prices these days? They say, oh,
I know.
Jessica, yeah, if you apply for the in-store credit card, you might get approved. Sure enough, you get approved. They go, great. They put the tires in your car and you drive away. Did you pay for those tires? You
No.
didn't pay for them. Did you pay for the service to balance them and put them on your car?
No,
No.
what goes on the
But
card?
right. But you promise to pay them back in a sense, right? Because you have an invoice. So you get a statement at the end of the month, which is true, and they have an outstanding unpaid invoice, right? They have a debt instrument. They have a piece of paper and it says on this day you came in, they put these kind of tires on your car. We balance them and there's taxes, there's shipping, there's terms and conditions. There's all that on an invoice. All right. So the bank does not have an invoice. Now, why that's important is that I have an experience you don't have, or none of your listeners maybe have. When I started off being an accountant, the first day on a job, the CFO, which is a CPA, he walked up to my desk and pointed a finger at my face and was angered and said, if you pay from a statement, I'm going to fire your something. So so that has an
So she
impression
doesn't
on
want
my
to pay
mind.
a statement. So she says if you make a payment from a statement, you're
Get
going to get in
fired.
trouble. She said, don't do it.
Don't
So,
do
but an
it.
invoice is not a statement, right? Is what you're saying?
Right. See,
Okay.
statement. Meant means an action. State means to say something.
Okay.
He explained to me nicely the anger switch. It was just to impress upon the young kid who just got started. He said, our owners make deals all the time. So this statement may not even be true. Sure, there's an invoice, but they've worked a deal out, or it could have crossed in the mail. We could have mailed that check last week and you're going to pay again. We'll never see that money in a second. They're going to take the
Right.
money and run. So
Right.
you only pay from an invoice. Now look over here in the corner. See that where it says department head? Only if it's approved. You don't pay any. If you get It was reported recently that somebody made up a phony invoice looking like a company and sent them all to like Microsoft, and he was making millions. Look it up. I have to do this. He sent these fake invoices that had made it really close to a real thing, and people were paying. Some accounts payable clerk was paying these millions of dollars of invoices. The guy was
Is that
taking it as
illegal?
all fraud. Totally
Is it
illegal.
okay? Yeah,
Totally
because
illegal. But yeah, he
he's
sent
saying
phony.
it was rendered, and he didn't render the services. I mean, why is it illegal? Why can't you just send an invoice to somebody and say, "I want you to pay me because I'm beautiful"? And then
You
why is
you
that
can send
illegal?
you can send anything you want to somebody. If they pay you and it's fraud, well, then you get in trouble with that. So
Yeah, I guess that's
here's
true.
where a department head looks it over and says, yes, only pay this portion of it, pay it all, you know. So only if the department head approves that do you pay for it. So that's my experience. So we know the bank did not put tires on your car. They didn't sell you tires. They're not the local merchant who sold you, let's say, some flour, 5 pounds of flour and a
Okay, so
pound of
let me
sugar.
ask a question because I am trying to follow. Okay, because I legit I have an MBA, but I legit suck at this the financing part of any of all of it. I barely passed math, all my math classes by like a C plus or D minus or D plus, D plus. I had one D in infinite math. I had a D plus, and she just liked me, and that's why she passed me. So if let's say I go to Wayfair, or let's say I'm getting those tires at Big O Tire or whatever. And Big O Tire has a finance company that will finance for you. And that's what we're talking about. They finance for you through a bank. And the bank gives you this credit card to put it onto, right? Like a store card or a credit card. Is that what we're talking about? Is that how you're framing it? No. Okay, so explain it
A
to me because I'm thinking.
store, sure, a store or like a merchant from
Oh,
long
so it's not
ago.
like a credit card, it's kinda like store credit or store like when the store gives you kind of like, "Oh, you are approved for $5,000, so you can get tires from here until eternity." But, so it goes on to your Big O account or whatever, um, but it's through a bank, right? Isn't it? So it's not through a bank, it's through them.
That's
Okay, okay,
right.
so
So,
this is why I needed to kinda break it down a little bit because 'cause I'm like
right.
sorry.
So, how you multiply your knowledge is by dividing. So here we have the word credit. You've used it several times. Cred is a Latin word, means to believe. So the store believed that you were going to pay them back. And that's what they gave you. They gave you
You're like,
credit.
"Psych." I'm just
Okay.
teasing. Sorry.
So in the olden days, you went into the store and you got 5 pounds of flour and a pound of sugar and say, hey, when my crops come in, I'll pay you. All right. But they have an invoice. That's the critical thing. You don't go into the merchant and say, hey, Charlie, can I borrow $10,000? What am I, a bank? I'm not a bank. I buy product. It's my product. I do a service. So the bank did not sell you tires and the bank did not put the tires on your car. So the bank does not have an invoice. It's impossible for them to issue a credit card. Okay. Banks are
Okay.
only about loans. So that's how we divide our knowledge now. So there are true credit cards from a
So
merchant who owns
credit
that
cards
product.
are not credit card debt are not loan they're or excuse me. I know what you're saying. So the statement that you get, it's not an invoice, it is from but the bank is saying I'm going to loan you this money, right? Or they're going to through the Big O Tire company, we're going to go ahead and it's kind of like they're fronting the money for you for that company because they have a good relationship and they're like, "Oh, all their customers, we're going to front the money for your customers that need tires and go ahead and allow them to put it on a credit or not a credit, but on their
Revolving
account."
account, yeah, red
Kind of
credit
like when you
account.
went into back in the olden days and you're like, "Put it on my account, Betty," and you walk in and you get eggs and you would leave and they have like a running tally of all your stuff and then and I guess this Big O might charge you a certain percentage interest for holding on to this debt, right? And
Well, there's a
okay,
good
wait.
point.
Okay.
How can you tell the difference between a true credit card and a phony one? Well, it's a store, like you've been saying, Thomas. Yeah. So But look on the back of your Walmart, your Amazon, the Big O Tire, and exactly what you're saying. If it says on the back, issued by Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, Bank of London, Bank of Tokyo, Bank of India, this is a worldwide fraud that's going on. So that is the phony card. If it's issued by a bank, the bank does not have an invoice. So we have to start off with that. Now you're saying they admitted a loan. Okay, that's the next discussion. But we have to finish this one here first. You have to understand that the bank could never issue a credit card. They could not issue a credit as they are a merchant. What banks are about loans. Okay, now we'll go the loan route. Okay, you ready for that? All right. So let's say, Jessica, you go into a bank and you apply for a loan and you get turned down. Do you still get the loan?
Do I what? Say it again.
If you
I
go
got
into a
turned down
bank
for a loan. I got
and
turned
you
down.
apply for a loan and they turn you down, do you still
Yeah.
get the loan?
No.
No,
No.
you don't get the loan. You're denied.
No. Right.
You don't get the loan. You go away, right? So, but if you do get approved, you go in and you fill out loan documents. This is the critical thing. An application is a request. It is not a promissory note. It is not loan documents. Just because you fill out an application, it means you're asking. You are asking the
Okay.
bank for a loan. That's an application. So if you get approved for a loan, you go and you fill out loan documents. Remember all those loan documents? You
Yeah.
have to prove you have an income. Because how are you going to pay the bank back without an income? So if the bank is brought into court, the judge say, you're making loans to people who don't even have an income? That's predatory. See where I'm going to? This
Yeah.
is not in a credit card application. And there are people on YouTube that say, put down any number because they don't check, they don't verify. To make yourself a CEO of a company, they don't care. Just put anything down. And the higher you get, the more money you'll get, right? The more credit line you'll
Right.
get. So
Like I just
that's out
increased
there.
my credit. I increased my credit line for a store. And I told them how much I made. I mean, I actually told them and they increased it. And so, but they didn't, it's not like they weren't like, let me see your pay stubs. They,
There's no verification.
right, right,
So in
right.
a normal loan, you have to document that you have an income. Second of all, you have to have collateral because you have a car or an auto, you have a car or a home to put up in collateral. And if you go for a personal loan, let's say you put up your yacht, well, they can legally take it away from you. So you can't call the police up and say, they're stealing my car. Well, who's stealing? Well, it's a repossession company. Do they got a piece of paper with it? Yeah. It's civil. It's not criminal. Too bad for your car. You didn't pay them. They're going to take your car away. So they have a legal way of taking the possession of yours away from you and selling it. Now, if they come up short, well, that's their problem, right? But if they come up long, they don't keep the money. They have to give you the extra money back to you. So you have $100,000 loan, you put $1 million yacht up. They don't keep the 900,000. This is not a scheme for them to enrich themselves on your money. So they have to pay you back. So that's why you have collateral. So this does not, what I'm saying does not work for car loans, does not work for auto loans, doesn't work for a personal loan where you sign a guarantee, where you sign a promissory note. So
Okay, so promissory notes, yeah, I get what I follow you on that. So an application, what you're saying, is not a promissory note. It is just you're saying I will. This is I'm applying for you to accept me or whatever, right? You're like
asking, it's just an
asking. That's
ask.
right,
I'm
asking.
just asking. And then if they approve, well, then what do? You fill out loan documents. They look at your credit report and your credit score determines your interest rate. But the thing you have to do is sign a promissory note. And that again is in your show notes. It's on link number 2. And the federal banking regulations require you. Now, what's this all about? Okay. All you do is type a 1776 to present inflation rate, and you'll see in the United States it's flat, 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 because they used to take money out of someone's pocket and put it in someone else's pocket. It never increased the amount of money compared to the goods and services. Okay. That was no inflation. It might have a little higher rise during a war and then dips down after the war, but basically it was flat until 1933, straight up. Okay. So what happened is the Federal Reserve, which we can talk about in depth and stuff like that about is it truly formed? Was it truly done correctly? Which I have questions about. But in 1913, they had no power. They were very, very weak. But it took them until about 1930, and I believe they created the Depression on purpose. So it is well known and documented that they raise the interest rates, but they don't go any further with the explanation. They raised the interest rates to choke off the economy, but what the end result was banks went out of business. Banks were consolidated. So now the Fed had control over enough banks to be in power. And that's when they instituted the fractional banking system, which is where you sign a promise to pay and now they write numbers. They can write any numbers they want in your checking account. They have removed all the regulations now so the banks can do anything they want. So that's pure inflation is what they're doing. So if you know inflation's happening because your employees, I'm talking about the wealthy, they have
Right.
employees in the Federal Reserve and in Congress, and their employees do their bidding. If you know there's going to be inflation, you buy land now knowing it's going to be worth more later or less dollars, but prices go up and you pay the loan back in cheaper dollars. So this is all a scam to make you and me work harder and longer.
I knew it. Keep going. You're on a roll.
Okay.
I'm just I want to
So
keep, and yes, we'll have show notes in the like on YouTube and then on Spotify and all this. I'll put it in the show description, your all your stuff. But keep going. I'm
yeah.
interested. Keep going.
So now we're at the loan situation. Okay. So we didn't promise to pay back anything. Now, let me ask you a question, Jessica. You buy a share of stock today, Bank of America. And now you're a shareholder. Now you have an interest in the bank making money because now you're a part owner of it, right? Now, would you want your bank to loan out your money, thinking the bank is yours because you're a shareholder, it's your bank? Do you want your bank to loan out your money to people who can't even pay it back?
No,
No. Would you want to loan out your money to people who don't even have an income?
no.
And last one, would you want to take your bank and loan out your money to people who don't even promise to pay it back? That's a big no. So you see, it's all a lie. So what banks do is they advertise to get you as a customer, right? You've seen the ads. They're spending money all the time. Years ago, they bought toasters and wall clocks and had them in the bank. And they said, oh, Jessica, if you open an account today, you'll get a wall clock or you'll get a toaster. And you went, oh, you bring that $20 toaster home. And the husband says, how'd you get the new toaster? I opened
George
an
Foreman
account.
grill. No, I'm just teasing. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
What did it cost you? Nothing. Oh, that's a good one. Or a second toaster, a third toaster. Who knows? It was a big deal back then. I had seen an ad in a paper that said, come into our bank and deposit $25 and we'll match it in 90 days. So what did I do? I took my 25, put it into my savings account, waited 91 days, went into the bank, withdrew $50, my 25 and the bank's 25, right? So I didn't actually duplicate my money. I took my money out. I took the bank's money out and I closed the account. Now, did I rip off the bank?
No,
Did I steal from the bank?
they gave it to you as a gift.
They gave it to me as a gift. It's a gift. So that's what it's all about. Was that immoral what I did?
No,
No, they did a
you just
deal.
worked
I
the system
followed
is all
their
you did.
deal.
Right.
I chose not to be a bank customer. It's my
So
choice,
they
right?
what they wanted you to do is to stay longer and pay their fees and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And
And
so they
that's the
thought if we
whole
give you
point.
money that you're locked in and just like you probably have more like a lot of people they'll get Netflix and then they accidentally will get Netflix again and they end up having like two accounts and they won't know for a long time. You're like, "Damn it, I'm paying for both. Why am I paying for both?" But no, I don't know what I was going with that. But so you just basically said, I'm not playing your game. I'm going to exit out of this system and take my extra money and go, not
Go
pay my
somewhere else.
$85,000 in debt.
Well, you're jumping ahead of me. So here
Okay.
is the point: is it's not immoral what I did. And in the show notes in your fourth link is a guy on YouTube that says, do that. I've made $361. He's bragging about how he got free money from the banks by just doing what I just said. Put your money to a matching fund, wait whatever time it is, and then take it out and close the account. It's not immoral. You're not stealing from the bank. It's not that.
Right.
It's cost of business. They know some people are going to do that, and that's just part of the deal, right? So, okay. It's the same thing with your $500 credit card from Capital One. It's a gift card.
Yeah. Okay.
What? Yeah. Everybody's going, no, this guy's crazy. Okay, that's fine. I
No,
think I'm
I don't think
crazy,
you're
but
crazy.
it works. So what works is that the bank sent you, sometimes unsolicited. Remember that? Cards came in the mail without even
Yeah, like I
you're
didn't ask you to send
pre-approved.
me your thing. I didn't ask for it.
You didn't even
You're
ask for
just
it, and you
sending
got
them.
it. So what did you do with your gift card? Let me ask you a question, Jessica. If a gift card came in the mail today, what would you want to buy for $500? What's one thing you'd want to go to a store and buy? You love to shop,
Groceries.
so tell me, groceries. You're going to buy $500 worth of groceries,
Sam's
right? It's
Club,
going to be
because
one.
I
What?
spend about $800 every 2 weeks on Sam's Club.
So I'm trying to point out, it's just like 4 or 5 bags. It's $25 a bag now, and there's not much in it. It's
I
just
know.
crazy.
It's nuts. It's
Let's say
crazy.
you go to the store and you rack up the $500, and she says it's $500. You show the gift card. You see, if you say credit card, you lose the argument. We just went through the whole thing. The bank cannot issue a credit card. The store could have given you $500 of food, and then you had to pay them back, and they had an invoice. But you use your gift card. You start with a truth. It was a given to you. So they gave you the card. You gave the card to the merchant. They swiped it, and you were starting to walk out, and there's somebody at the door that says, we got to check and make sure. Do you have a receipt? And here's my receipt. Who owns the groceries? Does the store own them? No, they're in
No,
your
because you're
basket.
all
You
right.
have a receipt that's your food. You take it home and you eat your food. So that's the whole point, is you can have proof of that. Now, are you going to get a statement at the end of the month from the grocery store saying you owe us $500? You have an outstanding unpaid invoice. No, you
Because
don't
your
get that because
transaction is final with them. You've now paid for it using your
you,
gift
you,
card.
you, you didn't pay for it, but
Well, they
somebody
paid
had
for
to
it.
pay the store.
All
Somebody
right.
had to pay for it. So who paid the store that night or the next day?
Your gift well, the
You,
people your gift card,
Bank
Bank
of
of America.
America sent you a gift card. You went to
Right.
the store. You bought
Bought the food.
$500 worth of stuff. It's your stuff. You walk out. You eat it, and then the question is did the who
Who paid?
paid
Who
who
paid?
paid the store? You didn't
Well,
pay
I
the
mean,
store.
but physically you did. You paid using your gift card or using the Bank of America card.
Bank of America paid the store that night or
Right.
the next day. Now, where
Right.
did they get the money? From their advertising budget.
Okay.
It's not a loan. It's an advertising budget that came from, just like the wall clock, just like matching funds. They give you these things to get you to be a customer. So what's the big deal about being a customer? Look it up yourself. I did it 2 months ago. How much is the average person paying for a credit card fees? It's $23.04 a month. So
Thanks.
think about it. You're in business. You want to get someone to give you $23.04 on average every month, but you got to get them as a customer. So if it takes you 22, 23 months of $23.04, then you get your $500 back, right?
Right.
It's an investment. You're investing this $500 knowing you're going to get it back in 22 or 23 months, and then you got them for life. Now you can jack up the fees. Now, one podcaster told me he pays $800 for his annual fee. $800 for a free checking account? This is
Yeah,
crazy.
that's nuts.
So
That's a lot of money.
right. So you're not going to get a statement from the store, but you are going to get a statement from Bank of America. Now, this is the first time you've ever dealt with Bank of America, right? So is that a bill? Well, it appears to be a bill, and that's the fraud. That's the lies.
This is
Let
a
me ask you a question,
statement, right?
Jessica. It's a statement. statement. It's an action of saying something. It's not a bill. You don't ever pay from a statement. You only pay from an invoice. So it's not an.
Okay, so if they're giving you an invoice, or excuse me, a statement, what's the next step? You don't want to pay it, or what do you do next?
A statement is just an action. It's an
Right.
invoice that's a debt instrument. So there is no debt, but they want you to. Let me ask you this. When you have a normal checking account, you get a statement every month. Is that a bill? No. It shows the beginning balance, your deposits, what you paid, checks and debits and other fees, and then you have an ending balance. It's exactly the same thing with your bank issued alleged credit card debt. So when we see a bank robbery, we always say alleged. How I want your listeners to start using the word is alleged. Let me ask you a question before we get going. Is it possible you, your audience, including me too, is it possible that we have been lied to, indoctrinated, and brainwashed? Is it possible?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. A lie is a lie. But when it's told generationally, honey, this is a credit card.
Right.
Okay. What do you do with it? Well, you pay every month. Or if you don't, well, if you don't pay, oh, they come after you, they harass you, they take you to court, and they win a judgment. And everybody knows that. And you are not questioning that. You are brainwashed. I'm not here to
Right.
insult your audience,
We're
or
like little
includes me
sheep.
too.
We're like, yeah,
Sheeple. That's what we are, sheeple. But if you just add the word alleged, so now we've differentiated credit cards. There are true credit cards from a true merchant. But if that merchant has issued by a bank, then it's a bank issued credit card, and that's a phony card. So you get this statement at the end of the month. Okay. Oh, let me back. So if you question it, you're no longer brainwashed. So all I want your audience to do is start to question. And now we can go, is that a lie? Has it been indoctrinated and told to us? So the whole system is set up for this. And I look like a crazy person. But again, I'm the one who's pointing out a worldwide bank fraud. So I don't mind having the arrows shot at me and everybody saying this guy's crazy,
dude,
because
nobody
all
wants
I'm
to give
saying
you
is
any
it's
money anymore,
business.
do they? Nobody wants to give you any more money, huh? Because you gotta, they don't want to
It's
give you any more money, do they? No,
it's
they
tough
do
out
though,
there.
because yeah, no, because I'm saying that they know that you're smart enough to be able to finagle out of it. Can I ask you a question? So you have a book, right?
But yeah, forgive and
How to
forget
okay,
how
wait, it's
to nuke your credit card
forgive
debt.
and forget. Hold on, let me say it. Forgive and forget how to nuke your credit card debt. I love that name. That's awesome.
What
And
we're
so in the
doing
book,
is,
what can the readers expect from your book? We're
yeah,
not there
well,
yet.
we're not forgiving. We're not asking for our forgiveness. We're actually forgiving the bank for committing a fraud, and we can forget about it. So yeah, they're going
Forget
to ask for
about it.
forgiveness. So we're going to forgive them for their crime against us. And then we're going to
Okay.
move along. And so what happens is that, let's say you got that statement. So what do? Jessica, you're a good person. You're a moral person. It's a bill. You've been told to bill. You've been indoctrinated. Okay. So you write out a $500 check from your personal bank to Bank of America. Now, um, that's the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money. Is that correct? In this whole
Right.
scenario, you get a
Right.
Bank of America card in the mail, you go use it at a store, you buy the groceries, and then you get a statement from Bank of America. You write a check out from your bank to that bank. That's the first time Bank of America has ever seen your money, right? Yeah. Banks are only about loans. So when you go into a bank with no money, you hope to come out with money through a loan. But when you put money into a bank, it's a loan to the bank. And that is in your first show note. People just don't know this. And if you type it up, you're going to be lied to by a lot of websites because it's on purpose to lie to you. But there are several legal websites that are going to tell you the truth, that you do not make a deposit. You are loaning money to the bank. So banks are only about loans. So when you put money in your free checking account, that's a loan to the bank. And that's how you access it, is through your debit card. So what you think is a credit card begins as a gift card. Once you pay money to the bank, it turns into a debit card. Every purchase you've made since then has been with your own money. That's why it's not a loan.
So
That's why
in
you don't
theory,
promise to pay it back.
they owe me all that money back because I
Right.
don't.
If you use, hey, they increased my credit limit or something like that. No, they gave you more to get you as a customer, to get you to pay more. So they knew what you were going to do. So that's a gift, again, an additional gift. But when they lower your credit limit, no, that's the wrong word. They stole the money. So if you have a $500 credit card, you think, and they lower your credit limit to $250, the bank has confiscated $250 and you don't even cry about it. So
Right.
before you write the letter to close your free checking account that's associated with this card, you have to withdraw your money. So normally when you go into a bank and you want to say, I'm going to close my checking account. Oh, here's your $3.15. Sorry to see you leave, Jessica. You take the money and they are obligated to give you back the money. This one, they don't. They steal the money from you. So you have to max out your card. No, it's not. That's how they get you to think that you're being a criminal. No, they're the criminal. You're using the criminal's language. You're never going to win his argument. No, you withdraw all your money out of your checking account before you write the letter. So I'm like a victim rights advocate. So let's get to the meat of this. How do we get out of debt? We don't get out of debt. How do we resolve this crime? Right. So first of all, we need to have you get your credit report. That's the evidence of a crime. Okay. So we first of all have to have evidence. And what the evidence is a credit card. The banks cannot issue a credit card. And they're making a claim that you owe money. You don't owe any money. So there's the crime. Now you have to report that. So what are you going to call your local police? No. There are 5 state and federal agencies I have you file complaints with. Now the bank is going to be investigated. And if we have millions of people doing this, millions of people, the comptroller of the currency is going to get a million complaints, and it's the same complaint about the fraud. Now we've uncovered the fraud. Okay. So we file
Oh,
that. Then we have copies of that because that's what we want to send to the bank. Okay. The bank is going to see 5 complaints they're going to have to deal with, and they can't get out of it. These are complaints by you. They have to go through the process. They're going to send a letter to the bank. Did you really defraud this person? Are you stealing money from them? All that kind of stuff. Then what we do is we have your CPA expert witness write a letter. It's just a letter, open letter that says banks do not have an invoice. If you have an invoice, send it. We agree, if it's accurate, we'll agree to pay it. So we're not trying to get out of it. The bank, if you have an invoice that we owe you, send it to me and I'll pay it. The other one is they could not have issued a loan because they have violated the federal banking regulations. You have to have a promise to pay it
promissory
back.
note. A promissory
Then
note, right.
right, you have to have a promissory note, promise to pay it back. That's a loan. That's how they make this phony money. And we're all suffering from the inflation by
And
them
filling
getting
out
you
the
to sign.
application and signing it, it isn't a promissory note. It is an application.
Application means asking. It's a request. That's
Yes.
all it means. That's where you have to. Most people don't know that. That's what the bank relies on is your ignorance. It's an act of ignoring. So here it's right in front of you. So dive into it if you want to, or just keep taking a blue pill. So
Right, right,
what
right.
happens then is that then what we also do is have an open letter by an attorney who says fraud undoes all contracts. And here is a Supreme Court ruling over and over again. You can't have you can't use the courts to fulfill your to perpetuate your crime. Hey,
Fruit of the
hey
poisonous
judge,
fruit,
yeah,
right?
I sold my drugs. This guy didn't pay me. Would you make him pay my drug? That's illegal. Get out of here. We don't do that. So the courts are not set up for the crime of perpetuating this crime. So then what we do is we have a lawsuit like the one I filed, but we don't file it. Okay. You have a lawsuit. Don't, no, it's a draft. And it says right there, draft. So we send them a draft lawsuit. It explains the crimes they're doing. And if they issue a 1099, we file a 3949A. So you don't need to remember all this stuff. It's all in the paperwork. And then it's all the discovery. So we're going to go to court and we're going to have a discovery. We're going to ask for documents. We're going to have interrogatories, which are questions. And we have admissions. And then we have a deposition. We have a deposition date set, even though it's not filed. Don't worry about it. And then we have also an injunction. Now, most people have no idea before, but now they do about an injunction. Trump does one thing, and what do people do? Run to court, file an injunction, and everything stops, right? This is the same thing. So we're notifying the bank that if they sue us, we file a counter complaint And there's all the evidence is right there to file. It doesn't take us any effort to put that work to the court, and it's a freebie. We don't have to pay anything. Or if we sue you, we're going to be filing this injunction and all this paperwork. So the injunction says, Judge, these people are bothering me. And so you're not really looking for damages and stuff like that. You're saying just stop them. And what the bank has to do is provide the judge a certified copy of the invoice, outstanding unpaid invoice, and a certified copy of the promissory note and an affidavit of debt. Someone
Which
in
they
the
can't
bank
do any
has
of
to
that
swear.
because
They
so
and then
they can't give you an invoice and they can't give you the promissory note.
and there's nobody in the bank that's going to swear out on a penalty of perjury that you owe any money, and they have the evidence. So if that is not given to the judge in 30 days, the judge has to find them in contempt of court, and it stops all actions. They cannot do anything against you because they're actually in contempt of court for this harassment. So you are a victim. I am your advocate for you, and we can go to court. And now you're going to say, well, okay, you'll be blackballed. You can ask me, do you have a credit card?
Nobody wants to lend you any money anymore. Like, right? Nobody you would think that's the case. It's probably not the case, right?
Well, you could say, well, this blackballs you and you never get a credit card again. I have a credit card. Well, wait a second, Tom. About 13 years ago, the wife said, get out and take the dog with you. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. I became homeless on purpose, and I took a vow of poverty for 10 years. So I dealt with no money. I dealt with nothing at all, no credit. I was off grid basically for 10 years. So knowing I was going to come to the Philippines, I needed to buy an airline ticket. And you buy that with a credit card, and I needed
Right.
to rent a car with a credit card. A debit card won't work. So I needed to apply for a credit card, and they gave me, that's an important word, is Capital One gave me a $500 credit card, but I had no score and no credit report. It was clean. Nothing was there. So how'd that happen? I was a previous customer. They had me in their system. So there you go. But that's one of the banks I sued
They
for
didn't red flag you?
35,000. That's one of the banks I sued for 35,000 gave me. Well, why would they do that? They make $23.04 on every customer. They don't care if I sued them. They don't care if you filed a bankruptcy. Only when you completed the bankruptcy, then you get the applications again. Hey, do you want to? Oh, they know you can't file not
Right.
bankrupt for 7 years. No, they want $23.04 on a free checking account.
That's they want you to be on that hamster wheel. Okay, so where can people find your book, and how can we reach out to you if they want to, reach out? Do you have a website?
It's kind of like a landing page, and that's in the
A
show
landing page?
notes and stuff. But Tommy A. Kilpatrick, you can find me there on Facebook, and I offer a free 50-minute conversation. And if you do that, I will give you my $69 book for free. It's on Amazon. So you can order it from there if you want to, or talk to me and I'll give it to you free. And so what I
Because
can
it's a
do
movement.
is help you.
You want to create a movement where we expose them, and if we all do this, then we all become unprogrammed with how we were taught how to do banking and all the likes. Your book is Forgive and Forget: How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt, and it is on Amazon. And I will on my website, I will post a link, the episode and the link and all this, how to get a hold of him on my website. It's www.justsayin.net. And I'm on all the things, Instagram, social. I'm on TikTok. I am on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. Go there, like and follow, because I'm trying to build a community here of like-minded moms and parents. And I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. And I know there was probably a lot more we can dive into, but we're going to put a pin in it for today. And I hope everybody goes out there and gets your book, because it's kind of, it's one of those, I mean, it worked. Hello, people. He got rid of his debt. This works if you work it, right? Am I right?
Oh, yeah. I had a podcaster who just contacted me because he got sued for $3,300 from Citibank. And so I had him file a request to extend the time to reply, which the judge will accept. But in there, it talks about why we're doing it, because we want to seek legal counsel. We're not going to do that. And then link up some other things. But the thing is, we're going to be filing a counter complaint. So once the bank sees this, this can be $5,000 or $10,000. I'll see it dismissed and off his credit report, because we need to send a letter to the bank to ask him to remove it off the credit report, and they will.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for spending some time with us today and telling us your story. And go out there and go to his Facebook and give him a peek. Take a look. And the book is on Amazon, Forgive and Forget: How to Nuke Your Credit Card Debt. Thank you so much. I appreciate you spending the time with us today.
Thank you.
Have a great, all right. Bye, everybody.
Low, talking about the days we used to know. VCR tapes and dial-up tones, raising kids living with achy bones. Leather jackets and big hair days, now it's carpool lines and PTA. Neon dreams turn into schoolyard fights, but our hearts glow in retro nights. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. Parenting now with a nod to the past. The retro love we know will last. We are Gen X, living both worlds. From cassette tapes to a digital world. A nod to the past, the retro love we know will last. We dance to the beats of the boombox sound. Now bedtime stories echo all around. But deep inside, we're the mixtape kings, still fighting life with arcade dreams. A pizza slice, telling tales with a side of advice, laughing at the way